Oh my god, I can't believe just a few weeks from when I'm recording this, Kingdom Hearts 3 will be out. Holy shit. Hi people, VGT Adam here. I just want to do a little impromptu podcast, or well, mostly impromptu. Kind of like, because like I said, Kingdom Hearts 3 is just this close from when I'm recording this. I just thought because Kingdom Hearts is like my favorite video game franchise. Like, I would say Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix is in my top 5 favorite games of all time. Not my favorite, but probably in my top 5. And I haven't played every Kingdom Hearts game, which is, interesting if it's my favorite franchise, but it's my favorite video game franchise. And because this is such a huge moment coming up in a couple weeks, it's like, I just thought I'd share with not many people watching this or listening to this what my experiences with the series, like how I felt, what each game meant to me, the ones I played, just voice crack, just a little nice thing to talk about, and why I say mostly impromptu is because when this podcast is released, I would have finished 3. I'm recording this before it's out, but it won't be released until after it's out, where I will be talking about the game. So for me, my earliest memory was of Kingdom Hearts 1, obviously. I remember not seeing any commercials for it or anything, or any advertisements, just seeing it in a store. I don't remember which store it was. It wasn't like a Best Buy or a GameStop or even a Walmart. I don't even know where it was. But I saw it, and my first thought was, because I didn't know what Final Fantasy was at the time, it was, oh, it's a game with Disney and anime characters. And, I mean, I wasn't really that wrong, honestly. But, yeah, I'm like, oh, it's a Disney game with anime characters. Oh, that's cool, that's neat. I think I bought it not long after that. And, here's the funny part. The very first Kingdom Hearts game I have never finished. There is a bit of reason for that. Nowadays, it's more of a case of, I know a lot about the game. I have no reason to play it. I've seen plenty of playthroughs. I've done tons of research. It's not too much for me. It'd probably be kind of boring if I play it now. I never really found a reason to play it after all these, after all these years. But when I was young, I wasn't the most smart of people. I mean, I'm still pretty dumb, but at least, if I can finish games now. But a lot of games when I was young, I never figured out how to progress. So a lot of games I played, I would usually be stuck in the beginning, and, Kingdom Hearts was one of those games. Kingdom Hearts 2 was also, but I'll get into that a bit later when I talk about that. But, I could think, when I was playing Sly Cooper, after the tutorial, I could barely, get past the first level because some things were just too tough. Or Beautiful Joe, I think I would get to Hope Davison, and I couldn't figure out how to blow up the door. That I eventually rectified. I've beaten Beautiful Joe multiple times, but at the time, how do I open this stone door? How do I fight this guy? And then I ended up getting, later I ended up getting stuck in Alistair's level. But, stuff like that. Here's an example. Jak and Daxter, it would, you start the game, and then they tell you, hey, our main goal is to head to this lava area. So that's our main goal. And instead of me thinking, okay, that's our main goal, but I can do other stuff in the meantime, my thought was, okay, I need to find a way to get over there and not explore anything else. So I would barely do any of the main missions in the village, especially since, the seagull I could never beat and stuff like that, and I didn't understand other missions. And when I found that one forest area, it's oh, well, I can't go here because the game told me not to go here, or, it said to go to this lava area. I eventually rectified Jak and Daxter by playing through the HD trilogy and beating all 3 games. I think it was Jak and Daxter I 100%ed, Jak 2 I 101%ed, and then Jak 3 I 100%ed. In-game progress-wise, not trophy-wise, where they'll show you the progress. But, some games I did rectify where, I would, not do well early on when I was younger, and then I would, later in life, beat certain games. I think, Mega Man Extreme was the longest time where I just couldn't beat the game. It took me over a decade to actually beat on normal mode. I am now going on hard mode. But yeah, Kingdom Hearts was one of those where I would play the tutorial, still not actually completed. I would, mess up a lot of it, but I would still be able to progress to Traverse Town and everything. And then there was a time where I couldn't figure out how to progress through Traverse Town, so I would just keep playing the tutorial, then whatever Traverse Town I could, tutorial, whatever Traverse Town I could. There was a certain point where I did beat it, and I went to Wonderland, and that's where I legitimately got stuck. Ooh. And I don't remember why. I mean, I do know that a lot of people think that like Wonderland can be a bit confusing first time around, but I always got stuck there, and I just never like decided to like play it again or anything after that. Especially since I think by the time I was like constantly replaying it, like 2 was almost out or was out or something, so I was more occupied with that. So I just never felt the need to beat it. Like after all these years, like I could easily just buy an HD collection or something and beat it, but I just don't feel the need to. So, you know, off to a great start. Oh, Kingdom Hearts is my favorite franchise, and I never beat the first game. I mean, it's possible for some cases for you to like have, oh, it's my favorite franchise and only play like a couple games. It is possible in some cases, but I don't know. I think if you say your favorite franchise, you should be playing most, if not all, the games. So then we go on to Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, which I knew it was a spin-off, and like most people, I thought that it wasn't important because Kingdom Hearts is like one of the rare series where spin-offs are important, because even nowadays a lot of spin-offs aren't, and people are so confused and think Kingdom Hearts spin-offs aren't important when they are. But at the time, you know, the internet was still not what it was, so I thought, oh, it's just I specifically thought, oh, it's okay. I thought it was, oh, it's here to capitalize on Yu-Gi-Oh! Success. Not those exact words, mind you, because I was still kind of young when that game came out, like 2003 or 4 or whatever. I don't know. I don't remember. I didn't use those exact words, granted, but the thought process was, oh, it's Kingdom Hearts with cards. It's here to capitalize on Yu-Gi-Oh! Because at the time, Yu-Gi-Oh! Was pretty popular, and I was watching it. So I didn't bother playing it. Only like years later, when, you know, like 2007 or so, I'd figure out, oh, this is important. Shit. I mean, I didn't say shit. I probably said crap, but I still never felt the need to play through it, mostly because of the card system. Like, some people might like it, some other people might hate it. I knew I would hate it. Honestly, it might be like, oh, you haven't played it? I knew I wouldn't like it. So there's that. And then Kingdom Hearts 2, which is the one I've played the most. Vanilla Kingdom Hearts 2, I've played the most. I played Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix once, but because, you know, besides the stuff they added, it's just Kingdom Hearts 2 again, with, you know, orchestrating music and add stuff. It's why I considered Final Mix the better version. It's my favorite version of all time. Like, until Final Mix came out in the West, it was Kingdom Hearts 2. That was one of my favorite games of all time, and my favorite in the series. And then Final Mix came out and showed me, hey, this version is way better, especially in the HD version when they orchestrate all the music. So yeah, Kingdom Hearts 2 is the one I've played the most. It's the one I love the most, have the most attachment to. It's also another game that was subject to me being stupid, but I did rectify it. So I did get farther in it, where I would beat the tutorial. I would beat a few of the worlds. I would usually get stuck at Disney Castle, and the reason why is because up until this point, whenever you beat a world, the game would automatically teleport you out, right? When did that game come out? 2005 or 6? So it would have been like 10 or 11 maybe? I'm not going to do the math right now. Probably around there. So I would always get stuck in Disney Castle because it's like, oh, we need to find a way to get rid of Maleficent's thorns. And it's like, okay, cool. And all of a sudden, like, I'm still in the world. Like, wait, why am I still in the world? How do I get out of here? So I would constantly like wander around trying to find a way out. I would actually, no lie, you know how like there's like tons of Heartless in there? They're not infinitely spawning. And I found that out because I killed all of the Heartless outside the castle and in the castle. And I figured out they don't infinitely spawn, but there are a lot of them. That's how stuck I was. And I wouldn't figure it out until I was 13, so around 2008, I guess. Where I finally noticed on the save point it says world map. I would go, oh, what's world map? I would click on it, and then I would leave the world, and I shit you not, I slapped my forehead so hard, I had a red mark for so long throughout the day, it echoed in my room, and I gave myself a headache. That's how hard I slapped my forehead when I finally figured it out. And then the rest of the game was a breeze. I went through without getting stuck, and you know now I can obviously play through the game again and again with no issue. But at the time, it was one of the games where I did get stuck, but thank God I figured it out faster than other games, and I have finished Kingdom Hearts 2. Don't worry. I still slap myself in the forehead sometimes. Not that hard, but I'm like, oh, I was so stupid when I was young. So I played through all those games. Oh, okay. I played through Kingdom Hearts 2. It was fun. I never found out about the secret ending because I never bothered, so until the internet. And then I also, like, I didn't know exactly what Fall Mix was at the time, because Fall Mix came out in Japan, like, a couple years later. I didn't know what it was. I'm like, oh, how do I fight Roxas? Oh, how do I get the secret cutscene? How do I get all these things? This Cavern Remembered place. How do I find this? Turns out I wasn't in the original version, and we wouldn't get until, like, over a decade later. Or about a decade later. Maybe a little under. So, yeah, there's that. And then this is obviously, because that was 2 back in 2005 or 6. So, obviously, you know, the rest of the series is spin-offs. And my thought process at the time, now knowing, because the internet was starting to become more what it was, and because of my experience, quote-unquote, with Chain of Memories, I'm like, okay, these games are now important, because 358 over 2 days is Roxas's time in the organization. Birth by Sleep is a prequel. All this stuff. I was starting to learn that the spin-offs were important. I actually had some girl in school who, I guess accidentally, she might have been smart, I don't know, I didn't have a class with her, but she was in my homeroom, who thought that 358 over 2 days and Birth by Sleep were the same game. Like, actually the same game, not like 2 separate games. And I'm like, first of all, that's a stupidly long title. Secondly, there's different logos. Thirdly, there's different artwork and characters. How do you think this is the same game? But, yeah, so 358 over 2 days came out. And while this was around the time where, you know, I was actually more of a competent gamer, I was completing games, I was even beating games on hard, or actually sometimes fully completing games, like 100% and everything. 358 over 2 days is another game I have not fully beaten, but it's not because it is because I got stuck, but it's also because of the bullshit design in that game. Like, why do you level up with panels? Why can't it just be a natural level up, and then the panels are something completely different? Why do you need panel spaces to level up? That is beyond stupid. And I just didn't like the gameplay to begin with. Like, just something about the game just irked me, and I just didn't feel the need to complete it and beat it. So, you know, obviously all I did was just look up the cutscenes and everything and see what the story was, because I just did not care about the gameplay. And I'm not alone in that, because while some other people have beat it, they said, hey, it's not a good game. It's really not. So I don't feel like guilty for not finishing that one. Because I remember there was one time, I don't remember exactly what it was, there was one time where in order to use a certain move to help me beat something, I had to de-level. I had to take a couple levels out of the panels and get a certain move in. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I had to do that. And then after that, I, you know, took the move out and put the levels back in. But think about that. In what RPG? Like, there's always, like, you can always change your stats and move around stats and everything. But what RPG do you know where you're even able to de-level yourself? That is just like, you know what, fuck this game is stupid, I don't like this. So yes, I haven't completed it, or even beat it, but that's only because, it's not because of being incompetent, it's because the game is stupid and I don't like it. Birth by Sleep I have beaten multiple times, don't worry about that, I've beaten Birth by Sleep. I do like it a lot, except for the fact that some of the, you know, our protagonists are kind of dumbasses, like Terra, fucking Jesus Christ. But yes, Birth by Sleep I did beat. Actually, I should go back to Kingdom Hearts 2, and now I forgot to mention this. Like, it's so special to me because, like, not only is it, you know, I played it when I was young, so obviously nostalgia is a factor in it, but, like, there's just so many great moments in there, and while there's, you know, Atlantica, less about that the better, and, like, just some worlds where they have certain stupid gimmicks, is like, there's just so much about the game that's just awesome. Like, the battle with Axel in the beginning is, like, sure, it might be a tutorial boss, but it's so fun. Most of Hollow Bastion that second time around, where you're introduced to Tron, which is one of my favorite worlds, and sure, you have the Demyx boss fight, but literally everything after the Demyx boss fight is fucking legitimately amazing, like, objectively good. Because you fight alongside the Final Fantasy characters, you get the Thousand Heartless fight. It's really, really good. And just so much about the game. Like, I remember, I think I brought this up in my Fun Bosses video, where in the original version, the Roxas fight was just a cutscene, and at the time, that was cool, because, like, oh, we don't usually get too many action scenes and cutscenes, so it was kind of cool. And then Final Mix came out, I was like, oh, you can fight this boss, and now it's one of my favorite bosses of all time. I fucking love the Roxas boss fight. Even the Data one, as hard as it is, I love it. The Data fights suck, by the way. I've beaten most of them. The only one I haven't beaten is Vexen's Data fight, but I've beaten the other 12. Fuck, they're hard. And I haven't beaten Terra, but whatever. I have beat Sephiroth a few times, so I don't have to worry about that. But just, that game is just so good, and then, like, the final level sure has a couple bullshit moments, and Xemnas' boss fight, as cool as it is, does last a bit long, But that game is just so good, and it's the reason why, like, yes, the combat is a bit mashy. It does get better in Fallen Mix because you have to vary it up a bit. But it's the reason why I'd recommend, like, you know, if you're going to play Kingdom Hearts, I wouldn't say start at 2, but you have to play 2 at some point. Probably start at 1, but you have to play 2. It's just so good. And like I said, yes, a lot of it is nostalgia, but it is a legitimately good game. And like my friend, the Synergy333, Nick, the only reason, like, I push it on him so much is that he's shown interest. If he never shown interest, like, he has Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 on the PS2, granted he never beat them until recently, or I guess at the time of this recording he's still playing through 2, but, the only reason he never had those games, I would still mention Kingdom Hearts, it's my favorite, but I wouldn't push it. But because he has those games, like, oh, he has interest, let me push it. And he is enjoying it. Granted, he also knows that the spin-offs are important, and he's still choosing to skip them. That's his own thing. But, it's just true. Like, I might have pushed Kingdom Hearts 2 a lot, sure, but it's because it's just so good. And then 3-5 over 2 days is so bad. Birth by Sleep, like, I didn't get as many of those memorable moments. Maybe, like, the final, Keyblade Graveyard world, most likely, is probably, like, the most memorable in a lot of areas. But, like, it's still a good game, do not get me wrong, but, like, when I played through it, a lot of it's just like, okay, I gotta do this, oh, here's this moment, all until I get to Keyblade Graveyard, it's like, oh, this is fun. Whereas Kingdom Hearts 2 is more like, fun, maybe a couple lulls here and there, fun, couple lulls. Hollow Bastion, second visit, couple lulls, just a few fun areas, back to, you know, now we're in the final time in Twilight Town, the world never was, and it's all fun. And Birth by Sleep, it was a good game, but, like, Neverland, I'm kind of impartial on. The early 3 worlds, I just don't care about. They're still fine, but I don't care about them. Like, even Radiant Guardian, I'm like, eh. But I think it's still a good game. You still should play it. Coded. Another one I haven't played, but only because, up until recent information, there really wasn't a reason to. Like, sure, it would have been cool for some things, but it's like, there was literally no overall purpose. This was, like, at the time, was the most true spin-off game, because it was not important to anything. It was more or less a breather after the 2 dark games that were 3 over 2 days and Birth by Sleep. It was just there. And now, because of Kingdom Hearts 3's most recent trailers, we can see that now Coded might be important. So, you know, hindsight's 2020, but at the time, there was no reason to. So already, my whole, oh, this is my favorite franchise. I didn't finish the first game. I didn't play Chain of Memories. I didn't finish 3-5 over 2 days. I miscoded. Yeah, at the time, I played 2 games. Isn't this, you know, oh, it's my favorite franchise. I played all of 2 games. I mean, it'd probably be worse if I said only 1 game, but whatever. And then I got to Dream Drop Distance, where I did have more of those fun moments than Birth by Sleep, but I think the game is a little worse. It's not a bad game. I wouldn't say Dream Drop Distance is a bad game. The plot is probably the worst in the series, and I do stand by that. Holy fucking shit, is it bad in many regards. The only good thing about it is that Riku is base. He's based. He's a really good character in that game, but otherwise, that game it's good. But the story and a lot of the characters and dialogue are probably the worst in the series. But I did have a lot more of those fun moments in Dream Drop Distance, and like the Tron world was fun to me because I just like Tron. I know some people thought it was a little more boring. I still thought it was like really, really fun. I think for the series, for once I've played, I would say 2 is obviously the highest, and then Birth by Sleep and Dream Drop Distance after it. We'll see where 3 goes, because I will be playing that. I'm not going to be skipping out on that. But, I mean, just fucking... Time travel is always an issue, and I've had a video planned for this for like over a year talking about why I hate time travel, but it's probably the worst I've ever seen in Dream Drop Distance, where it makes rules that like I've never heard of, nobody's ever heard of, and it's just asinine and makes no sense. And it's not even just time travel, just a lot of shit in the game just doesn't make sense. And this is in Kingdom Hearts where the whole series doesn't make sense. But Dream Drop Distance is a fun game. If you notice, like, the special stories I've had gotten less and less as I got older, it's because I got more aware. Like, 2 was the less, like, actual special moment. Because afterwards, just I'm getting the games, I know about them and everything, I'm following them. That's kind of how it is just nowadays. It's not as like you discovering it or having a personal story anymore. It's more like, oh, I know the game, I follow the game, here's my thoughts. It just happens. And then after Enough Distance, we actually haven't had... okay, you have, like, Back Cover and Union Cross and those mobile games, and whatever you want, whatever. Those are... They have plot moments, sure, but, like, there's no reason to play them, I think. Like, you can play them if you want, but there's no actual reason to. I might... Watch me be completely wrong about that. But... 2012 was Kingdom Hearts Dreamed Up Distance, right? So, up until, this year of 2019... we haven't had a full-on new title. We've had, the HD remixes, which did give us 0.2. And 0.2 is interesting, where it's a ground zero situation where you can tell this was supposed to be the intro to 3, big time. You can tell, like, as soon as you boot up 3, maybe not this exact way, but this was supposed to start with you playing as Aqua and then going to Olympus Coliseum, which makes you wonder how's 3 going to start now, how natural is it going to feel. I mean, they did decide to, like, not be Konami and actually release it along, the HD version of Dream Up Distance and then the back cover cutscenes, so it's like, it's not like you're playing a 3-hour game that costs $60, you have other games with it, and you have other things with it, where, Ground Zeroes was $60 at launch and lasted about 2 hours, but you could tell it was supposed to be the intro, and, like, at the time, like, it still looked rough, but, like, 0.2's graphics, like, oh my god, this looks so good. Like, the lighting is great, and the character models, for the most part, look good. Mickey looks weird, and a lot of the characters look a little glossy, but at the time, it looked good. And even though at the time of this recording, 3 isn't out yet, they improved the graphics so much that if you go back to that game, you can literally say, oh my god, this looks ugly. Like, just in that short span of time, from when 0.2 was released to 3's trailers and everything, it went from, this game looks pretty good, to, wow, this game has not aged well at all, in the span of, like, 2 years, maybe? But it does give us a good feeling of how 3 would be. I like the gameplay in 0.2 a lot. Although it does give some retcons I'm not too fond of. Like, wait, you're telling me Aqua was there at the end of Kingdom Hearts 1 and Riku didn't notice her because he didn't look to his right or his left? He didn't look to his left, really? And it is interesting, and certain interesting things about it, but at 0.2 you can tell there's a reason why they cut it out, because it just doesn't feel too important. Like, it is important, don't get me wrong, it is important, but it just feels more like an extension of Birth by Sleep's secret level with when he plays Aqua. It just feels like an extension of that with more plot relevance than just, oh, she's wandering the realm of darkness. So it is important, but you can tell, like, it's a good thing they release it separately. Give us a little taste of 3, because otherwise we'd be waiting a little longer. And then that collection wouldn't be worth it, because it'd just be HD, Dream Up Distance, and back cover and nothing else. But yeah, I mean, that's where it is right now. We have, the HD collections, and 3 will be out soon. And, like, the series, to me, has a lot of issues. I think there are more meh games than there are good games, but I still think that there's a reason why this series is so popular, not counting the yaoi. It's because it's just such a weird idea. Final Fantasy and Disney, of all things, like a Disney RPG, okay. A Disney RPG with Final Fantasy characters and unique characters, weird. This will not work. Turns out, it worked. But it's so weird how this series is so special to me, and yet I just technically haven't played like through half of it. It's weird, but it's mostly stemmed from like Kingdom Hearts 2, how much I love it. But the other games are still good, for the most part. 358 over 2 days can fucking die in a hole. But that's my Kingdom Hearts experience. It's just it's special to me. It's why it makes it tough for me, because I've always thought, okay, should I review this series? Like, do review videos of it? It's like, not only will I not have much to say that other people haven't already said, but I just can't. It's not like I could be like, oh, games are special to me, I can't review. That's not true at all. Kid Icarus Uprising is one of my favorite games of all time. I reviewed that. Batman Arkham City is also one of my favorite games of all time. I talked about that in my retrospective. I totally can. It's just something about Kingdom Hearts where it's like, I can still talk about it, like I'm doing now. I still have thoughts on it, but I can't review it. It's just weird. Like, I tried to do... Shadow of the Colossus is also one of my favorite games of all time. I tried to do a review of that. It didn't pan out because not only was it boring, it was more or less just the same thing everyone else has said throughout the years, and nothing unique and original. So it's just one of those cases where I can review it. It might not be entertaining in like any way because I would have nothing new to say. And it makes me think, should I even review 3? Like, I don't know. I'm not planning on it. I'm planning on reviewing a different game that comes out later this year. But I don't know. It's just one of those things where like I don't know. It's too personal, I guess. It's weird because like even other personal games I can talk about, but something about Kingdom Hearts is just too personal to like get a professional review out there or semi-professional review out there. I don't know. So that is most of my experience. This podcast is not done. You obviously you guys are gonna hear this all in one shot, but I will not continue this podcast until after I play 3. Which I guess I'll lead into right now. So, future Adam, how are your thoughts on Kingdom Hearts 3? Thanks, past Adam. Okay, so finally Kingdom Hearts 3 came out, and I beat it. Probably way too fast, but I beat it. I will be going over not every single tiny little detail, but I will be going over the whole game. So massive spoilers for the whole series, including 3. If you have not finished 3 or any of the other games you're planning on playing, if you are, don't listen to this part. If you got past the last section where I spoiled the other games. Anyway, okay, if you didn't finish 3 yet or whatever, just don't listen to this section because I'm just gonna go into it. All right. Overall thoughts of the game. It is very good. It can never live up to the hype. Let me say that. It can never live up to the hype that I'm sure a lot of people had because, idiots thinking that it took over 10 years to make, which no, it did not. This is not Final Fantasy Versus 13. There were other games and the spin-offs are important. These aren't like other spin-offs where it's just you can ignore them, and this has been in development for a decade. Although it feels like it's been in development for at least 5 years. But it can never live up to the hype, and that's fine by me. That being said, it is very good. My favorite Kingdom Hearts game is still Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix, but I would say this is definitely a second. Birth by Sleep was my second, now switched down to third slot, obviously. Which makes sense, given how the combat is a mix of 2 and Birth by Sleep, so it makes sense to be stuck right in the middle. But yes, the fact that it is my second favorite means it is very good, because we all know that my words be all end all. No, not really. But it is very good. Still has the hiccups. So I'm going to go over the things that are most important to me. I will say there are a ton of little details and little things in this game I both like and don't like. Quickly, the cutscene. Obviously, obviously the graphics are gorgeous. They're beautiful. They're great in every way. There's no disputing that. That's an objective fact. And that's probably the only objective fact in this whole thing, because the rest of it's going to be very subjective. But the game is gorgeous. And there's a ton of little things, like I like the way the cutscenes are directed this time. Not saying like the other ones were bad, but you can tell that, the production value is much better. Whoever directed the cutscenes, obviously Nomura directed a lot of it because he's the main director, but whoever specifically directed some of the, the cutscenes is, good because they're a lot better. And then things I don't like I'll get into it. Like I said, I'm not going to cover every single little detail, but just some details that have from little to big that I want to talk about. I have some notes here, so to keep somewhat on track. I do like how they made Sora quote-unquote smart again. Like, Sora was never a genius. He's not like Riku or like other characters where they can actually figure shit out. But he's a lot smarter than people give credit for. It's just that a lot of the spin-off games, especially Dream Drop Distance, made him like fucking like an IQ of 2. I don't know why. Because in Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, he wasn't like a genius, but he was smart and sometimes had sass to him and he could figure stuff out. And I am so glad they brought that back in 3 so much. He still has his dumb moments, of course, because it is Sora, but he is a lot smarter this time around, and I think that's good. Riku is still the best character, though. So for the overall gameplay, Starting out, I think like overall the gameplay does feel a lot more stiff than twos. Felt more I mean, they're both mashy as shit. Don't get me wrong; these aren't the most complex of combat mechanics. They're still mashy, but I would say twos is a little more fluid. Threes just felt more stiff. Like sometimes when you do like guards or dodge rolls or just certain commands, they don't come out immediately. Like sometimes I'll be mashing square to get a guard out, but I'm in the middle of falling, and even though you can do it in the air, it's just not working. And it's not my controller. It's just sometimes it does that. Like here's a good example. The whole new mechanic of switching keyblades, which is great, and I love it. I thought it'd be a case of like Devil May Cry, where you could actually switch in the combo and be a lot easier in Devil May Cry because the basic keyblade combos are usually the same. Obviously, they have their special properties that changes things. But the basic combos are the same, so I thought switching between gameplay should be easy as shit, and it's not. For some reason, Sora has to actually stop what he's doing. If you, like, switch it, he won't actually switch keyblades until he stops. There were a couple times where he did do it, I don't know, it was weird. It wasn't implemented well, but I do like the idea. I also love the idea of upgrading keyblades, because I like, for some reason, like, with any RPG, it's fine with me switching out weapons, but for some reason in Kingdom Hearts, I like keeping the default, just for some reason. So, like, I will have Sora's Kingdom Key always, like very rarely will I change it. I don't know why specifically with Kingdom Hearts. Like I said, every other RPG I play, I will switch out weapons for like better ones or ones I feel more suited. But for Kingdom Hearts, I always like having Kingdom Key as the default, meaning that most of the runs I've ever done have been Kingdom Key runs. I am not kidding. I mean, like default runs, so not all the games of Kingdom Key. Default Keyblade runs. I am not joking. So I do like the idea of upgrading that so that Kingdom Key is still relevant in the late game. Not that would matter even if it wasn't. I still would have kept it around, but it just would have made things harder. But I do like that. I do like how they took a God of War 3 approach, where instead of having, because when I saw all these like mechanics in the game, I thought it'd be like Kingdom Hearts 2, where a lot of it is too much. Like I wouldn't even use on any of it. Like in this game, I didn't use any of the summons. I felt no reason to. And like Kingdom Hearts 2, I didn't really use any of the summons in that game either. There's so many mechanics in both games that you just don't feel like using, and I felt like early on 3 would have even worse. But they streamline it in that they do a God of War 3 approach, where instead of having individual magic, the magic and certain like attacks and stuff is just to the certain weapon. So like if you have a certain weapon, it'll have a certain magic attack devoted to only that weapon. It does that in this game too, and I really like that. It helps also for uniqueness, so that each Keyblade feels unique in its own way, even if it has similar properties and animations and stuff. And I know like there's a lot of problems with reaction commands, but I thought it made things more flashy and it can still help in combat. Whereas like the properties, like you're relying so much on these special properties for your Keyblades, it's like they do lose some value. Like you have no idea when using King Key how many times it went into second form because it just felt way more useful. And like the fact that I keep relying on that and it pops up so often, it's just like a little annoying. Like I got used to it, of course, but it's like it was a little annoying. And then the attractions, I think, are both useful and unnecessary. They're cool, but they pop up so often, and it's just the combat's a mixed bag. It is a good. There is some improvements, but there's also some stuff I don't like. I do like it though. Like I said, it's probably be my second favorite overall. I do like the combat overall. There's not really too much of a problem with it. Just a bunch of little nicks. Jesus Christ. A bunch of little nitpicks. A bunch of little nitpicks here and there. Some legitimate problems too. Like I said, like there's sometimes the functions, like the guarding functions, don't work, and certain animations don't come out. But you know, I think overall the combat's good. Except for flow motion. Flow motion got nerfed so hard that it's pretty much useless. Like I barely even bother with it. It does not. Obviously, like, all you had to do was just tone down the damage that it did in Dreamed Up Distance. You didn't have to actually freaking tone down how it worked, because it's just, God, it does not seem to work at all in some cases. Yeah, I think overall the combat's good. It could have, twos is still better in a lot of ways, but it's still good. The gummy missions in this game, I hate. Like, ones, from what I've researched and what I've seen and stuff like that, were annoying because you always had to do them whenever traveling to worlds, and they barely ever changed. And then 2 did it where it was more like, event based, like each thing was their own unique one. You only had to do it once, you don't have to do it every time through the world, and thank God 3 does bring that over. Once you do it once, you don't have to do it again unless you really want to. And I like the idea of actually flying through space, but boy, do I just not like it. I flew over every obstacle just to get to the world. It's like, I don't care about these enemies. I don't care about these prizes. It's not like, it's not invigorating. I don't like it. I hate it. And sometimes when they force you into combat, it's just like, why? If you give me the opportunity to actually fly over every obstacle, no, I'm not joking. If you give me that opportunity, why even bother then? I don't like the new gummy missions. I just don't. I thought it'd be like 2s, but like bigger and better, and it's just not. And then the level design in this game is probably the best. Level design in Kingdom Hearts always varies. I think Dream Drop Distance is not to a good thing where it was bigger without being too big. And 3 does it too, where it's more processing power, so it's bigger, but still not too big. Like, there's huge areas, don't get me wrong, but they're also fun to get through, and they're all really well designed for the most part. There's not really a bad world. Like, if I can go back to Kingdom Hearts 2, Atlantica sucks. There's no reason for it to be in there. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I think this has been established by every single person who plays Kingdom Hearts. Atlantica sucks. And like the quote-unquote weakest world, I think, in 3 would just be Winnie the Pooh, only because it's the same minigame over and over, as opposed to 2, which had, like, a variety of minigames. So I would say Winnie the Pooh's is the weakest world, but I wouldn't say it's bad. I think all the worlds in this game are actually really strong. Some are stronger than others, sure, but I think every world in this game is really strong. Let's see. Back to notes. Oh, okay, yeah, there are a couple times where you can have, like, team attacks in a combo, like, you're doing a combo, and if Donald's near you, you can do a, like, unison fire, and it's just automatically a team combo, and that's really cool. Same thing with Goofy, you can do it. It doesn't happen too often. You don't really, I didn't notice it, you can do it with any other party members, like, you'll have their special moves with them, sure, but you don't really have those kind of things, but those are really cool, though. I like the fact that just in your combo, your teammates can come in and you can do a unison, a combo attack with them. It's really, really cool. I do like that. I'm trying to avoid the plot right now because that's probably going to be the biggest part of this. The hidden Mickeys are a cool thing. It's nice that they finally brought that in and kind of made it a bit of a mechanic. In a way, you just get prizes from it, but it's cool. The gummy phone is weird. I mean, the in-universe Twitter thing is stupid. I don't know why they did that, but the gummy phone is cool. I like it. It's a little weird to get used to, but I do like it. Let's see what else we got. Oh, I do hate how the selecting between worlds is set up. It's so janky and just like, why couldn't we just have the gummy ship flying around a map, or even just like something like Dreamed Up Distance, where you just select the world like that? It's so weird, and I do not like it the way that the overworld map is set up. It's bad. It's actually bad. What else? I'm trying not to have any dead space here, but trying to avoid that plot, because the plot is the one I have the biggest talk, is the thing I want to talk the most about. The lack of Final Fantasy characters. I think that was the pitch of the series. It's Final Fantasy and Disney in one game, and I get that Kingdom Hearts kind of needed the Final Fantasy stuff to like boost interest, and they said, oh well, now that it's its own thing, we don't need it. But it's like, it's part of the charm, and it would be nice, because some of these characters had like storylines, and we don't really have them resolved, and now you're just like, gonna ignore them. And then we could have had, like, more Final Fantasy characters. Like, we could have had some from 9. We could have had some from 15 and 13. We could have had more stuff. Like, you could have fit something in there. You basically have Radiant Garden in there again, but we never get to play through it. Why not just a quick thing of, even if you don't want to have, like, huge storyline, just like, hey, they're in the town. We can talk to them and see them, and, maybe do a couple side missions or something. But no, they're just not in here at all. It's only Disney, and they tease Shibuya and Dream Dot Distance, and we don't get that. We don't get Shibuya. Come on, so many people love the world. The World Ends With You. let's say the never-ending story for some reason. The world ends with you, and they tease that, and we never get it unless it's gonna be like a future game or something. So that would have been nice, and we could have had a cool moment like in Kingdom Hearts 2 where we're fighting alongside the Final Fantasy characters, but especially since like you don't have to worry about the amount of party members anymore, and then having that with Final Fantasy characters would have been so cool, but I don't know. They chose not to. I don't know what to say. I do agree though that some people are saying the combat's a little floaty, because I did notice that I was getting very big ups with some air attacks that I did not get in Kingdom Hearts 2 unless I actually used high jump, and then what the hell was that freaking the one in Master Form when you jump again you spin around? I forget what it's called, but when you get that too, like that gets you high up, sure. But like high jump in this game just automatically like lifts you up high enough anyway, so yeah, I can see why people say it's a little more floaty. Alright. Story time. I guess we're getting into the story. So it picks up literally at the end of 0.2, like that whole thing about Sora coming back and everything. It's literally that, just with better graphics. And it's funny how they keep saying that Sora is weak. He's so much weaker now and stuff like that. Like, he lost the power of waking, power of waking. But some of the first bosses he faces are the Titans, the Greek Titans, and he beats them. What the hell? He's not weak. Okay, so he lost a power. Doesn't mean he's weak. He starts off the game beating God Killers. Come on. I love the idea that he's weak and he's doing all this amazing shit. He's doing these attractions. He's got shot locks already. His Keyblade's transforming. It's just like, oh yeah, he's weak. He's stronger than previous versions, but he's weak. And so like, you couldn't just had the whole Metroid thing where he loses his powers and has to get them back. He had to keep reinforcing he's weak. He's weak, really. And as much as I do like Olympus in general, where in previous games you had like tournaments and stuff, it did overstay its welcome because every single one of them was a tournament. Like Kingdom Hearts 1 started where it was a tournament, fine. Kingdom Hearts 2 made it a little different where it's the underworld, so it's a little you have an actual level along with the tournament, so it's not just the same thing, so it did vary it up. Birth by Sleep brought it back to a tournament again. It did have one area in the city, but that's about it. And then some games just either did it the way Kingdom Hearts 1 did, or just avoid it altogether. This one's just straight up in Thebes, and I do like it. It's a full-on level, and then you actually go to Olympus, which is amazing. And it took... I love how, like, in Kingdom Hearts games, like, you pretty much go through an abridged version of the movie's story in some cases. Like, sometimes you have an original one, but you'll go through an abridged version. This one took... When did Kingdom Hearts 1 come out? 2002? I'm not going to do the math, but it took, like, over a decade for the story of Hercules to come to the conclusion, because this actually covers the end of the Hercules movie. So it took, like, how long for the Hercules movie to end? I find that funny. And I do like how they try to incorporate the Disney worlds into the main plot, keyword being try. Some more successful than others. Why the hell is Toy Story one of the most important ones in Kingdom Hearts of all things? For a variety of reasons, like the Verum Rex thing, which, by God, that game... I know it's not real, it's more of a jab at Versus 13 development, which, Nomura, it's your fault that game didn't come out, so why are you doing a jab? I wish that's real, though, but that little tease at the end with Verum Rex and everything, like... and then, like... Why is Toy Story just seems like one of the most important worlds? It's really weird. But I do like how they attempt it, like, with young Xehanort, you have Woody telling him off in a moment that's way more epic than it should be, and that the boss in that area has stupidly epic music, and it's like, what the hell? But they do attempt. Some are more successful than others, like Frozen. They did not mesh it in well. I think like Frozen and Pirates of the Caribbean are the two where it's like the other games where it's the main plot and Sora just happens to be there. But all the other ones, they tried their best to mesh in the main plot with it, which is fine. I think Big Hero 6 works the well because it feels like an actual sequel. Like, if you can imagine it as in a movie way, it flows perfectly. So they try, but some more successful than others. But there's also, like, they attempt to streamline it a bit more and make it less confusing. Like, I always bash on saying how the story sucks, story sucks, story sucks. And overall, yes, the plot of Kingdom Hearts is a mess. Everybody knows that, right? But when you go from game to game, it doesn't really become a mess until, like, the big moments. Like, Kingdom Hearts 2, okay, Kingdom Hearts 1 has confusing moments, but it's the most self-contained, and it works well. Chain of Memories, it starts getting muddled. 2, as much as I do rag on the game's story, it just opens the world up more, and if it weren't for some of the stupid plot twists, the story would be fine. I think Dreamed Out Distances actually has the worst story, because just the time travel mucks up the series so much, and like it's so confusing, it makes no sense, and just other details are just like, what the fuck? I think, like, if you were talking about the overall series, yes, the plot is a mess, but I think the only legitimately bad Kingdom Hearts story is Dreamed Out Distance, because it's just a mess. Kingdom Hearts 2, for its problems, is still coherent enough. And in 3, they attempt to do it. They have a bunch of flashbacks of people who either didn't play the story so far, or looked up the YouTube videos explaining the story. For people who just ignored everything, they do try to attempt some things by having characters explain things that literally everybody knows in story already, just so people can catch up. So they attempt it. But because of Dreamed Out Distance, the time travel stuff in this game also makes absolutely no goddamn sense, and I fucking hate it. But they do try to streamline it a bit, and there are some things that make sense, some things that, you know, I like make sense in Kingdom Hearts fashion, not in general, but like, it does try to connect everything together, and if you're a fan, you'll actually start getting giddy about it, and it was actually kind of fun and everything, but they do try. It doesn't get too successful because of end stuff, which I will get to, but they do try, and it does make it a little more coherent, and it is better in some cases, and, you know, that end, like I'll just get to it. Let's see, so... so I'm usually fine with games having long finales, because it's sometimes you need to wrap everything up, and in like Kingdom Hearts way, you have to, you know, wrap up and bring closure to a bunch of things that have been happening for over a decade. So I'm usually okay with it as long as it's not like too bad. But Kingdom Hearts 3's final, like, finale section, depending, is as long as certain lengths of modern games. Like, okay, I think like the average game time for modern AAA games is like 8 to 10 hours, depending. Like, it's getting a little better now where they are making them longer. But I think like the average for quite a while was like 8 to 10 hours. And that is almost the entire length of the finale. So basically the finale of this game is the length of other games. Like, it took me like anywhere from 5 to... I didn't pinpoint when I started, I just pinpointed where I ended, but I'm going to estimate it took me about like anywhere from 5 to 8 hours for the finale alone. And I should mention, though, this game is one of the easier ones. Like, I didn't play on Proud Mode, but even then, in other Kingdom Hearts games, even in Standard Mode, I still died a couple times. I died once in this game. Any other failures are just like a mini game I might have failed or something. I died once in this game, and that was just me accidentally screwing up a command because, you know, the freaking delay and everything like that. I died once, and it's a lot easier. So it's not like I kept dying over and over and over to... Actually, no, I didn't die once. I did die 3 times. I died once, and then it took me a long time to die the other 2 times. So I died like 3 times. But that's a lot less than some of the other games, even on standard mode. So I think the game is overall easier, especially for those people who want a challenge. There's no critical mode. There is that 0 XP thing, but that's you can only do so much. It's a lot easier. So it's not like the 5 to 8 hours are just me dying over and over. It's just like it's long. Unnecessarily long in a lot of cases. A lot of stuff where it's like, this did not need to be in here. That whole like Sora and Limbo thing, just besides bringing closure to Naminé and unknown characters we don't know about yet, which I hate saying, it seemed unnecessary, really. Like, completely unnecessary. So it is stupidly long, and I'm usually okay with that if you bring closure, but I think Kingdom Hearts 3 was a little way too long. But there are satisfying things about it, like you fight a lot of the most important Xehanorts in history in like group battles, with allies. Like obviously, like, you'll have Riku in your party and once and Mickey, but then you'll also like have like Roxas and Shion, and also temporarily have Lee / Axel and Kairi of all things. It is cool. I do like that. Some don't last as long as they should. I hate that they kidnap Kairi at the end again and make her another plot point. For fuck's sake, you make her a Keyblade wielder and then you make her a damsel in distress again. That just fucking pisses me off. I'm saying a lot of fuck words for Kingdom Hearts of all things. This is why I script things, because my gibberish just sucks. Me just talking is awful. That's why I script things. And, it just sounds a little more professional if I do that. But there are satisfying things about it. Let's see. The final battle with Xehanort is both amazing and meh. Not awful, but meh. So, after you get through all of the Xehanort battles and everything like that, you trap him in Scala at Kylum, which is, I believe, they don't go into it, but I'm guessing it's where, like, Keyblade wielders originally went to train before, like, worlds were split off. It's the best thing I can think of. It's definitely where Ericus and Xehanort trained to become Keyblade Masters, obviously. But there's not much that goes into it. You get a quick mob battle with all of the Xehanorts. Like, and these characters, like, they're not like... Think about when you fought them individually and how something can be harder than others. They're not like that. If you had, like... Okay, so here's an example. Luxord, Larsheen, and Marluxia, you fight all at the same time. If you fought them individually, like you did in Kingdom Hearts 2's data battles, for instance, like, Marluxia was tough. Larsheen had her tough moments. Luxord was gimmicky. If you thought, like, it's those exact movesets and those exact gameplay mechanics into one fight, no, because that would be impossible. So they do have to weaken them a lot and reduce their movesets a lot to make it fair, which is fine. Because if they did that way, that would be stupid and ridiculous. But that's how they manage to have these multiple fight things. And so when they get to the part where you're fighting 12 of them at once, it's not too bad because their moves are a lot nerfed. Like, they still have a couple of special things, but they're nerfed. And then when you fight Xehanort, it's long and drawn out the way I like it, but there's still problems. Like, it does the final boss thing where it gives you a final exam on all the mechanics you learned, which is good. Problem is that one of those things is underwater combat. Now, while the underwater combat is much better than Kingdom Hearts 1's, it's still janky. And why the hell would you have a final boss segment with underwater combat? Why would you do that? That just makes no sense. And granted, they do make it easy by the fact that he only has one boss pattern underwater. Maybe two, but only one you really notice. And that underwater, your range is a lot bigger. So there is, and it is balanced in some way. But why would you fucking do that? It is so goddamn stupid. Oh, God. Okay, so he starts out in, like, this weird armor form. Not his actual armor form that you see in, where that Xemnas wears in Kingdom Hearts 2, or as a bonus boss in Birth by Sleep. Not that armored form. Some weird satanic goat cult thing that he wears. I don't know what the hell that's about. It looks cool. Oh, Jesus. It looks cool, but I don't know what that's about. And it's a long battle. Some of his patterns you can't read, and I'll go to why this boss, while being awesome and epic, didn't really hit it for me. But it goes on, and it is fun. And then you get to the actual final section, which is the most over-the-top thing in Kingdom Hearts, and I love it. I love when bosses have this epic music, this over-the-top feeling to it, and it's like this not really one-on-one, because Donald and Goofy are there, but like humanoid things. I love that. Like, take, for instance, Virgil and Devil May Cry 3. That one-on-one thing, with a humanoid thing, I just love those boss fights. You can see my rival videos for a better example of that. It's not the exact same, but it's like that. I love it. The boss fight, though, is good. The main problem with both that goat cult form and then just messes in, or with the Keyblade, I'm just gonna call it the X-Blade. With the X-Blade, is that there's too many gimmicks. They introduced too many gimmicks in the final boss. I think that the final boss should not have new gimmicks. Like, for instance, okay, the first part of the goat the goat called Xehanort. I'm just gonna call him Goat Xehanort. The first part has you testing on your flow motion, which is fine. Me personally, I didn't use it too often. That's why it made that part a little tough. But that's fine. The underwater section, again, not that good, but you did use it before. That's fine. The last part has you solely gliding, and glide is something you don't get until the tail end of the game, and many people probably didn't use it for a while. But you're in glide the whole time, something you're not used to the controls with. Why are you giving us these glide controls when we're not used to them? You could just say, oh, well, it's just like you in the air. I mean, you've done air combat, right? Sure, but it's still a gimmick, and it's just, you should not do new gimmicks like that. And then here's a better example. In the actual final boss, you're stuck in Rage Form at a certain point, and Rage Form, I think, is a way better version of Anti-Form, which Anti-Form has its cool moments, but I think Rage Form is actually a way better version of it. But there's a chance that some people may have never, ever, ever went through Rage Form in the game, similar to how, like, say, in Kingdom Hearts 2, you might have gotten Anti-Form for the first time in a boss fight, which would suck. The only difference is that this time it's scripted. You have to be in Rage Form at one point. Why would you do that? Not everyone has been in Rage Form. Not everyone's been in Rage Form in the game. So you're having this whole new mechanic where you can't heal yourself. All you can do is attack. Thank God you actually have partners to heal you this time, as opposed to Anti-Form where you don't. But it's this whole new thing that you're introducing in the final boss. Why would you do that? If you wanted a scripted segment on Rage Form, do it before the final boss in some way to at least teach you about that. Or just don't have it at all. Like, not having rage, I don't mean not have Rage Form, but I mean, like, don't have it a scripted moment in the final boss. Don't do that. Please. It's stupid. And at least Rage Form is also selectable this time. Like, Anti-Form, like, it sometimes just, there's a reason why it happened, but sometimes it just happens. It's like, oh, crap, I'm in Anti-Form, or depending on the player, oh, yeah, I'm in Anti-Form. Rage Form, you have to actually select. It's like a last-ditch effort thing, where you'll get all your health back, but if you keep losing your health, you can't heal until you're done. And it's selectable, so you don't have to really do it. That's why it's a lot better in some cases. But you shouldn't do that for the final boss. And the one thing that Kingdom Hearts 2 has over Kingdom Hearts 3 is bosses in Kingdom Hearts 2, the humanoid bosses, obviously not the big ones, the humanoid bosses have hit stun. That makes the fight way more fair. So you can have the fight be very difficult and, you know, sometimes hard to read patterns, but as long as you have those correct openings and you give them hit stun, it's all fine. Because that means you can counter them, they can be stunned, you can do stuff, or sometimes you can just hit them and they'll find a way out of it. That's what I love. I love when you can stun an enemy. I'm not going to be like, oh, well, I need the fight to be easy, so you can stun them at any time. No, sometimes they need to be able to break out of your stun or teleport out. That's fine. I just feel that when you have the hit stun, it makes it more fair. Like, because how is it fair if they hit you over and over and you're hard to block them, but you hit them and they just, like, they take damage, but they, like, don't move? That is not fair, and I hate when games do that. Hit stun just makes it more fair. And this game doesn't seem to have that, because when I'll sometimes block Xehanort, okay, sometimes he won't have hit stun, but there are certain attacks where you should have hit stun, where I block you, and I should be able to attack you right after, but when I attack you, you just keep attacking anyway. So it's like, how can you attack me, and then I can't attack you? That makes no sense, and I hate that. That's why I love the Roxas fight. It's just, besides his one attack where he homes in on you, it's the most fair fight in the series. Plus a bunch of other reasons, but that's why I love it so much. And this doesn't have it. Same with the final boss section, where it's like, I should be stunning you right now, and I can't. And that's not fair. I love bosses that are difficult, sure, but they're fair. Like Lingering Will, I might not personally beaten, but I can see why he's fair. He's probably one of the most difficult bosses in gaming history, but I can see how he's beatable and how he's fair. Like I said, I didn't beat him yet, but I can see how he's fair. And you need more things like that. And this game, and like the Osaka team, just doesn't seem to understand that, especially with the bonus bosses in Birth by Sleep. Jesus Christ. But like, they just don't understand that, and it makes it less fun in that regard. I'm not saying it's bad, but that's where I get the meh part, where the hit stun makes it more fair. And then the biggest problem with Kingdom Hearts 3 is the ending. So while the overall game, you can have whatever thoughts you have on it, I think it's good. I think the ending is disappointing. I wouldn't say it's bad, but it's disappointing. So you had your big happy ending and everything until you realize, oh wait, Kyrie's still gone. I gotta go find her. Sora, wait, you'll never come back. Well, I still gotta do it. Then he goes off. Everybody has their happy ending, and I mean, like, seriously, like, way too happy. And then at the end, it's like, oh, okay, so Sora found Kyrie. Would have loved to see how that happened. And then all of a sudden, wait a minute, Kyrie is on the island by herself, and Sora disappears. So Sora rescued Kyrie, but Sora's not there? What? What? This whole game was supposed to be closure to the Xehanort saga. And if you want to have more Kingdom Hearts games, sure. If you want to have Star Sora, sure. But there's a thing as closure, and that's not closure. Now Sora's just gone. What? And like, okay. So, there's more stuff I want to go into, but before I do, it's like, are you saving these moments for either another game, which stop fucking sequel baiting for the love of God, not just video games, but like anybody in charge of any kind of creative project, stop sequel baiting. I get it makes it easier, like if you sequel bait, you don't have to worry about closing everything on a second game and a second or third or whatever thing and continue it onwards so you have more of a plot. But you should never expect to have a sequel. Like, look at The Order. They expect to have a sequel, and where's that at this moment? But they sequel baited because it'd be a lot easier, a lot more convenient. Don't do that. Do the freaking Empire Strikes Back approach where you tell a whole story, and then you tell another whole story with maybe a couple things here and there that you could fill in should there be a sequel. But it still has enough closure where it's like, oh, okay, well, there's some stuff, but you still continue the story in a completely different way. Yes, Empire Strikes Back has a couple things where it's like, this can only be answered in a sequel and have sequel hooks and everything. A little annoying, but it's still there. But, like, Empire Strikes Back, it wasn't just Episode 4 again, it wasn't A New Hope again. It wasn't just New Hope again, it was something new and different. And that's what I think it should have been. This game should have ended it. And then whenever we have Kingdom Hearts 4 or whatever comes after, should be something entirely new and doesn't rely on anything in the past. Problem is we're not getting that. So, like, where did Sora go? Where did Kyrie go? How did he find her? What did he do? Is that going to be in a new game? Or is that going to be, God fucking forbid, is that going to be DLC? Because, like, I'm fine if Kingdom Hearts is DLC where it's like they have more Disney worlds, but they add more plot important stuff into DLC. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. If they add plot important stuff into DLC, I'm going to be so pissed. But stuff like that, right? And so at the end, the only person who's not back on Destiny Islands is Sora. We have no idea where he is. That's probably going to be your sequel bait. And then, like, you know, assuming he's not dead, assuming he didn't, like, kill himself in some way, and he's actually just in some other world. And then, the epilogue. Oh, okay, the epilogue. Ugh. So, Maleficent has been going through the entire game. There's two plot points that are not resolved on purpose. It's, who's that girl that Axel/Lee and Isa/Saïx are talking about? There are hints that someone from Union Cross, but that's about it. And the other main thing was, what's in that black fucking box? Those are the two main ones, right? That have been teased throughout the game. Is, who's the girl? What's in the box? What do you think that those two biggest questions, do you think they're answered in this game? No, of course not. So the two biggest things that are teased throughout this game are not answered in this game. We don't find out who the girl is, and we never find out what's in that goddamn box. Not only that, Luxu is apparently Xigbar. What? Apparently it's some kind of body hopping thing like Xehanort, but what? Luxu is Xigbar. That is not like a big twist like, say, like, Ansem isn't really Ansem in Kingdom Hearts 2, which is still stupid. But that's not a twist like that. This is just, why are you doing this? What, is the Master of Masters all of a sudden going to be Sora? If the Master of Masters is Sora, you know I called it right here. Is the Master of Masters going to be Sora? Just don't do shit like that. Don't have plot twists for the sake of plot twists. Like, that's what Shyamalan does nowadays. Can we go to classic Shyamalan where you build up to the twist and all the clues are there. Don't do modern Shyamalan where the twist is just there to be a twist. And that's what you're doing. And a lot of Japanese game developers seem to do that. A lot of Japanese storytellers seem to do that in general. Like, I noticed that in your name, too. So we don't find out what's in the box after the whole game of being teased. We don't find out who the girl is. And while the secret ending gets me excited because it's a what the hell's going on in a good way, the epilogue is just like the biggest middle finger to us. And that is the biggest problem with Kingdom Hearts 3. It's just that entire end sequence, from the gimmicks in the final boss fight, to lack of hits done, to more sequel baiting, to possible DLC teasing or possible future game teasing. Like I said, it's not horrible. Jesus Christ, it's not horrible. It's not horrible. It's not the worst thing, but I don't like it. The rest of the game is fine, but I don't like it. No, I mean, I like the game. I like the game. The rest of the game is fine, but I don't like those end parts. It didn't ruin the experience, but, like, how does Kingdom Hearts 2 have more closure? Like, Kingdom Hearts 2 has a couple things where it teases the spin-offs and everything, but if you play Kingdom Hearts 2, until that letter pops up at the end, you're like, man, everything tied in together, I feel really satisfied. This feels like closure. And then you get the letter for a tease. Don't like it, but it's something. This one's like, oh man, after this whole series of building up these characters on these stories together, it all comes together, and there's still stuff missing. It doesn't feel satisfying. After so long, we don't have a conclusive end. You can still have Kingdom Hearts 4 while having a conclusive end to the Xehanort saga. What, does the black box not count as it? Does the whole stuff, the Keyblade War, not count as it? Because it seems like it should have. So overall, yes, Kingdom Hearts 3 I do like a lot. It is my second favorite. Doesn't excuse those problems. Wow, that was really long. But that is my experience with the entire Kingdom Hearts series. Kingdom Hearts 1, I didn't finish for my own personal reasons, and the interest in it. Okay, I'm not going to go through this all again. You can just listen to the first part again. But Kingdom Hearts 2, Final Mix is my favorite. Kingdom Hearts 3 is second favorite, but by sleep. I do love this series. It needs to get its shit together. And honestly, Nomura, please direct other games. Let someone else direct this series so that the next games aren't a clusterfuck of plot and just stupid retcons and everything. So, my Kingdom Hearts level up is finally at 99. Let's see if we can get it to 199. Oh god, I love the series and I hate it at the same time.